Hi guys, I'm Nina.
I'm Ethan.
And we are Bloody Essentials. Just want to give a quick shout out to everybody who's liked, followed, subscribed to the podcast already. We really appreciate you guys. It means so much to us and it helps a lot. Also, special shout out to Rick Paulton, our Patreon member. Really appreciate you, Rick. But even before we got our Patreon set up, you were always supportive of what we were doing. So thank you so much. If you guys want to be mentioned in the podcast and receive fun little goodies from the Bloody Essentials team, subscribe to our Patreon. We've got fun little perks. We've got a Discord channel where you can see all of our pet photos and what we're up to. And we also have monthly movie parties, and we've got a lot of goodies that we're going to be sending out to Patreon members real soon. So that's going to be fun. And if you haven't been to the Horror House shop here in Chicago, you can go to their website online, and online orders right now you get 10% off with the promo code Bloody Essentials. So definitely give them a shout out. Website will be in the description below.
Jamie's not with us today. She's not feeling well. So Jamie, we love you. Feel better.
Yes. And tonight is a very special episode. We have some incredible guys here with us. We have Montavius Parker, host of the Empty Crypt podcast, Drew Phillips, writer and director of upcoming film Mirror Mirror. And you might recognize this guy, Johnath Davis, who was our Halloween store clerk from Terrifier 2. He's also going to be in upcoming horror film Mirror Mirror very soon.
Indeed. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. So tell us, first off, how did you all get into horror?
Montavius, you should start.
So started back when I was just a little Monty. I think the first horror film I've ever watched and I fell in love with was Tales from the Hood. That film really resonated with me, and that's kind of how this all started. And here we are today, just because Tales from the Hood.
Excellent.
Drew?
Okay, yeah, I'll go next. So I'm going to try to keep this short, but it's kind of a long-winded answer. I used to be like a very, very anxious kid. So if you played me a horror trailer, I'd have nightmares and want to sleep in my mom's bedroom. I'm talking about like ages like 11, 12 prior, even up to that. I saw a psychotherapist and he hypnotized me. And well, I want to say hypnotized. He used like a method, and now I love horror. So I faced my fears.
Wow.
He put me under like this exercise, and now I can't get enough of it. I find it thrilling. It's like an adrenaline rush. It's like a roller coaster, but I used to be petrified. So it's crazy the journey I've been on. But yeah, I mean,
that's the first time I've actually heard this story. So
I don't tell it that often. Nobody asks. They always ask me like, "What's your favorite horror movie?" They didn't ask me how did I get into horror, and I used to hate it because I couldn't stand it, but now I love it. So it's a crazy flip. I just remember like my niece, she would tease me. My niece is close in age because my dad had a prior marriage. Gotcha. So she's closer to my age. But she would tease me about like the Boogeyman, the movie where the Boogeyman would like pop up in your face at different moments. I didn't even see it, and I would get like a panic attack. And so the therapist was like, all right, close your eyes. Now imagine you're at a poker table with the Boogeyman that you're seeing in your head. Because like I liked poker. Because like my dad was into poker, and so it sort of desensitized this thing that terrorized me. And yeah, now I love it. It was a great question. So yeah, it's the first time probably anyone's hearing that.
Wow,
that is probably the best answer that we've ever gotten on the podcast to that question. That was awesome.
Yeah, we're gonna need to talk more about that later.
Sure. All right, Jonathan.
I was blindly dragged into it. I thought I was just doing the film before I know it was Terrifier 2.
Wow.
That's awesome.
What a great intro.
Right? So tell us this. How did you all meet?
Well, Drew and I have known each other about a decade now. We attended the same actors lab in Philly where we studied acting. And then I met Montavius right after Terrifier 2 had came out. He asked to do like an interview for the Empty Crypt, and I, did that, and we've been rocking ever since. So much so, I'm like, I'm gonna need you to be my convention agent. You know what I'm saying?
Love
There
it.
you go.
And if you look over in that corner, you'll see Mr. Marcus McGill, who's just entered the chat.
Welcome, sir.
Welcome, Marcus.
How's it going? Sorry for my tardiness.
Not a
No
problem.
worries.
And I met Marcus. He was also a producer on Terrifier 2.
Right.
And I met him at my very first horror convention in Atlanta.
Nice. Marcus, how did you get into horror and everything? How did you meet the rest of the guys?
So I actually got into horror. In the industry, I met the Fuzz on the Lens crew and Damien and David Howard Thornton at a mutual friends convention in Gettysburg. And I was in film school at the time and was just picking Damien's head about how to get into the industry. And first thing he told me to do was quit school.
Yeah.
Stop wasting my money. And he was like, hey, you need to get experience on set. And that's when he actually first told me about Terrifier 2 before the news even broke on the film. And that's how I got involved. And the rest is history. And then I worked with them on Stream. I was fresh out of the hospital with COVID. I was in the hospital for 2 months and went straight to set, back to Gettysburg for Stream. We had a hotel to ourselves. But as far as this project, Montavius had made a post about it on Facebook, and I was immediately hooked. Sent him a message and was like, hey, man, how can I contribute to the project? Like, how can I contribute my services to the project and help this project happen? And he introduced me to Drew. Jonah said, I met him last year in Atlanta at Days of the Dead, and the rest is history now. I mean, these guys are just amazingly creative. It's an awesome script, and I'm excited for the world to see it. So.
And with that, Montavius had mentioned, that he wanted to do a film, and that he had a premise for it and everything like that. But I'm no writer, so I was like, well, I know a guy, pretty great at it. So I, introduced him to Drew, and then these guys made magic after that.
That's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, Drew, you wrote it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what it is?
Yeah, I'll give you like a log line, and feel free to pry further if you're curious. But
we will.
It's a film about a Black couple expecting their first child, and they're looking to upsize from their tiny Bronx apartment, and they buy a Victorian mansion at auction from the bank, unaware that there are malevolent forces tied to the house's mirrors going after their unborn child.
Ooh, I love it.
So yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. But yeah, it's rooted sort of in the Black family. I was very much listening to my partners on this and sort of like trying to make it as authentic as I possibly could. You guys who are listening, you might be able to hear that I am pasty white, but I am also pasty white in real life. So I just try to make it as authentic as I possibly could, do my research, listen to those voices. Again, it takes an army to make a film, and
right.
These guys are my brothers in this, so they can speak to that as well. But yeah, I mean, that's the basics of our story. It's really fun. It's also really scary. So I personally fall into maybe it doesn't have to be either or, but there's two camps, the slasher and the supernatural horror. I tend to veer towards the supernatural, as I have this toxic trait where I believe that I could take any of those slashers, whereas I don't think I could take a demon.
Fair.
But I'm just the opposite.
Yeah.
I could deal with the spirit world. I'm not worried about that, but I don't want to wrestle with Jason. So, or art.
I'm going to Walmart and buying an assault rifle, and I'm fighting Jason.
So, Montavius, it sounds like you kind of brought the idea of Mirror Mirror and then collabed with Drew with the screenplay. Tell us, how did you come up with this idea?
So, originally, before it was Mirror Mirror, I was writing just notes on my iPhone, just things that I found creepy which were mirrors. And the things that scare me the most when it comes to movies is like demonic possession movies. I've always been freaked out by them. So I was just writing notes and stuff that freaked me out: mirrors, black couple, demonic entity. And it was originally called Devil's Looking Glass. And when Johnath, tied me and Drew together, I kind of just told Drew, like, hey, this key points: demon, mirrors, couple. And this man, again, took the baton, set the track ablaze, and here we are now, talking about our future film.
Excellent.
Awesome.
You were telling us a little earlier, Montavius, this isn't a black movie. They just happen to be black characters. So
Correct.
Why don't you go ahead and tell our audience what you were telling us, because that's phenomenal.
Yeah, so some people may see like, a black-centered film, and kind of there's going to be two sides of it. So the story was written perfectly. It could literally be biracial couple, all Caucasian couple, anybody. It could fit anybody. It just so happens our characters are black, and we want to shine a light on fatherhood, on the African American family unit. So there's certain key parts that we definitely want to shine lights on, and like I said, Drew did a great job at bringing all of this together. So for sure,
I love that.
I think there's a distinction between it being a black-centered horror film and then told through the voice of African American people, because that's really what it is. It's like anyone can enjoy that. It's not a film about race.
Right.
The race is involved, if that makes sense. And I think that's
Absolutely.
the refreshing part of this. It's just sort of authentically showing how these characters would react in this situation. And it's fun. Like I said, I don't feel that anyone could play these two characters, but that's because I wrote them for two very specific people, which is Johnath and our female star, Courtney Taylor.
Right.
But that was a gift in itself, because sometimes you don't know who's cast before you're writing. For me, it was like, no, I know who this is for.
Gotcha.
And I do think we have to give extra kudos to Drew with that too, because in an effort to keep it authentic, he even reached out to me personally while developing the story, asking questions, putting me in scenarios, and keeping it. So it's like the tone, the voice, the situation of things, it feels even more realer. So it's like, when you're watching, I'm positive you're going to not just watch it from a viewpoint, but feel engaged. And
right.
I think that's what's going to kind of set it apart.
Yeah, I gotta say, reading the script after Drew talked to Johnath, it was crazy, because I actually told Drew, I'm like, I can actually hear Johnath saying this. Like that's how well Drew wrote this, is because like him and Johnath have a personal relationship, so they know each other. So everything that that's being said, you can just see Johnath saying it, and it was, like I said, it's going to be magical for everybody who checks out our film, for sure.
As I said, that's truly a gift, because like sometimes you should always have character voice. Like as a writer, this is just me being a nerd, but you should be able to like put a finger above two characters and sort of know that two different people are speaking by the way they're talking. Because we all talk different. Ums, buts, likes. Not everybody does them. Some do. Some have a drawl. There's all kinds of things that go into voice, but again, it's so useful when you have someone specific that you're thinking of, like their rhythm, their intonation, things that they might say, things that they would never say. Again, such a gift to have that on this.
Speaking of voices in the film, were there any films or people in general in the horror community that you kind of drew inspiration from in making this project?
That is a great question. So the long and short of it is no, but I do have an inspiration. So I'm aware of some films that have mirrors in them, including Oculus, Insidious. There's a few, and their mirrors are spooky in themselves. So it's like a lot of horror films have touched with mirrors. I intentionally did not rewatch any of them because I want my inspiration to come from within. So if I do something derivative, it's just because I thought, that was the right choice for this moment. Because I didn't want to be afraid of doing the same thing or be afraid to do something different. So I just thought the best thing for me to do was not look for now. Because I've seen Insidious, I have not seen Oculus, but It's been a while. I saw Insidious when it came out.
Okay.
I think that film's like at least 10 years old.
Yeah.
But my inspiration for horror, Scott Derrickson, writer, director, he teams up with Robert C. Cargill on the writing, but he directs Sinister, The Exorcism of Emily Rose, The Black Phone. Big fan of his work and his styles. Sinister, if you were going to ask us later, I'm just going to reveal now, is my favorite horror movie of all time.
There you go.
I'm a stickler for character development, and I think that film is perfect. Ethan Hawke's acting is amazing. I think the scares are real, so it's kind of like a Where's Waldo of horror. Every time you see Bagul, it's it's spine tingling. And he does arc as a character. His crime was hubris, and when he finally realizes that he put his family in a bad place, it's too late. So it's a Greek tragedy. I really love Scott Derrickson. So if I have any inspiration for horror, I'll give it to him.
Okay. What about the rest of you? Your inspiration for horror and your favorite horror movie?
Yeah.
Well, for me, my all-time favorite horror movie is The Howling. Dee Wallace is my personal number one scream queen.
Okay.
But also Scream 2 is what got me wanting to be a filmmaker, because they filmed it at all-girls school where I grew up in Decatur, Georgia, Agnes Scott College. We used to sneak on the campus in high school to go talk to girls, and one weekend in 1996, they were filming the college campus scenes, and I got to meet the cast and crew.
Wow.
My biggest regret was I didn't get to meet Wes Craven, but I got to meet Neve Campbell and Arquette and Courtney Cox and all of them, Timothy Oliphant, all of them.
I thought you were going to say your biggest regret was you didn't meet any girls, but
I didn't have a problem with that in high school. I might have a problem with that now, but not in high school. But yeah, so The Howling and Scream 2 are definitely my favorite two horror films of all time, and Wes Craven and Fede Alvarez, I would say, are my biggest inspirations.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, for me, I tell anybody, mine comes from childhood, so mine was Child's Play. The scariest for me was Nightmare on Elm Street. But today, you know what I mean? If I'm watching something, it's a personal bias, but I love Terrifier 2, you know what I mean? And it's more so because I was just so impressed with it, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have an expectation of it coming into it, but once I saw it, I was, I didn't know it was like jokes and, like I didn't know, so it just kind of exceeded my expectations so much. I'm like, no, I see why the following came so thick for them.
Before you answer, Montavius, I have a 15-year-old son, and we were watching Terrifier 2, a year ago or so, and he's watching. He's like, of course, he's like, oh yeah, this is real cool. Well, your part came on, and I was like, Dad knows him, right? And he's like, what? And I was like, yeah, we were at the convention. I said, we had a drink together. He's like, no, you didn't. I was like, yes, really we did. I'm like, we're not like best friends. I'm like, but yeah, we are. I was like, we were hanging out together. He's like, oh my God, that's so cool. So you got a little star over, or a little stalker over here.
Hey, man, my guy already.
Go ahead, Montavius. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, because my kids, they do the same thing. And I actually, like, we talk every other day, me and Johnath, and my kids still can't believe that he's alive. They still think like he got killed.
You should be dead, man.
So anyway, like I said before, Tales from the Hood, favorite movie, all time, favorite horror movie all time. Beautifully shot. It had meaning. Had some controversy in there, civil rights movement, all that stuff. Great film. What got me to wanting to make a film was, I would say, Michael Dougherty was my favorite director. He did like Trick or Treat and Godzilla King of Monsters and stuff like that. So the way he shot Trick or Treat, which first of all is a classic, and it didn't have a theatrical release, which makes me mad. But anyway, that film and Michael Dougherty was the one who got me into wanting to be associated with film in some degree.
I actually want to piggyback on Johnath saying A Nightmare on Elm Street. So that was actually the very first horror movie that I ever So my mom took me to see it opening night, November '84. I was 4 years old. And she used it to scare me because I guess I was falling asleep in preschool when I was supposed to be active or whatever. And it worked. It scared the living shit out of me. And so the funny thing about it was when I first met Robert Englund in like 2015, I think, I told him the story. I had broken my leg. I was coaching football at the time. And he let me sit behind his table with him. And I told him the story. I said, hey, man, you're the reason why I love horror movies. And I was like, my mom took me to see the movie and I'm a filmmaker now and this and that. And he was like, well, tell your mom that was fucked up parenting, but tell her thank you because you wouldn't be doing it.
My mom did the same thing and that she teased me or she showed me Michael Jackson's Thriller back when I was a kid. Freaked me out. So yeah, bad parenting for sure. You know,
and the funny thing about it is my mom is a minister, so she hates that I make I make horror movies, but she's glad that I'm doing what I love. You know?
So is my mother. My mother's a pastor too. So
well, you see what pastor kids become now.
Well,
we're the most demented,
right?
Absolutely.
So, are we going to have a theatrical release? Are we going right to streaming? What's going on?
It's a great question. So right now we're focusing 100% on the short.
Okay.
So we're kickstarting. We have a 30K initial goal, 60K stretch goal. We also have a mission. So we're partnered with Big Picture Alliance out of Philadelphia. They help at-risk youth get access to filmmaking classes. And the way we're partnering with them is twofold. One of our reward tiers is sponsor PA. So you pay $250, half of that goes towards the production, half of that goes towards payroll for that PA. So our whole fundraising is for the short. However, should it be as awesome as we know it is going to be, we absolutely have plans for a feature and have a couple of doors open for that already. So yeah, it's on the table. But in terms of the short release, that's going to be festival theatrical, so not wide. The film, I can't guarantee it, but I do believe that it will have a theatrical release. We are working very, very hard on this behind the scenes, talking to a lot of people. So I'm going to will that into existence. So hopefully a year from now, you'll be hearing.
I will will it with you.
Yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. We're gonna believe it. So
yes.
But speaking of that, Drew, you want to name just some of the people that we have?
Oh yeah,
please.
I'm going to do it in story form because I'm a dreamer. I'm on a team of dreamers, I believe. Montavius and I were just shooting the shit about cast, and we have this demon, which is going to be practical. We're going to mix some digital effects in there because obviously there's going to be some dimension breaking with mirrors, but you will see a practical monster, which I think practical is always awesome for filmmakers.
Definitely.
But Montavius was like, yo, my dream for this would be Kevin Kepi from Smile. And I said, okay. And I picked up the phone and I called his people and I pitched him the story. He read the script and all of a sudden we had Kevin Kepi.
Wow.
Similar story to Courtney Taylor. While I did know her back at her time at the lab with Johnath and I, she's gone on to be very successful. She's a series regular, or was a series regular on HBO's Insecure, the final season, at Elementary. She's going to be the co-lead with Maggie Q in this upcoming Bosch spinoff on Amazon Prime. So it was hard for me to get a hold of her, but Johnath was still in touch. So I asked Johnath, would you reach out on my behalf? And she said for me to call her agents. So then I call them, I pitch them, we get her. So all of a sudden it's just a process of like, I think I was asked on a different podcast. It's like, what's your advice for people? It's twofold. Leave your fear at the door, which just means call anyone, be confident. And I don't mean arrogant, but I mean,
right.
You should walk in that door willing to sell this thing and ready to. So don't be, will you help me make my screenplay? Or
Right.
You got to know what you're selling, who you're selling it to, and sort of have a plan of attack. I keep on bringing up this analogy that I like to have my guns loaded before I shoot them. And so for me, that's like the writing of the short, the writing of the feature, the calling of the right people, the meeting of the right people. But that does take a team. I don't know everyone. So Johnath's connections, Marcus's connections, Montavius's connections, all of this has helped to grow the thing into what it is today.
I love that. Yep.
Absolutely.
It's all about helping each other out. It's all about the horror community helping the horror community. I love that.
And that's the beauty of the horror community, man. I would say more so than any other genre of film, whether it's like Marvel, DC, superhero, all that stuff, the horror community really sticks together and supports its own.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
110%. Now, if people want to get involved and donate to the Kickstarter, how do they go about doing that?
I'm glad you asked. So the easiest way, I don't know if your podcast allows for links, but we'll give you a link.
Absolutely.
And so you guys can just go straight to the link, click, and see our tiered rewards. Happy to go in and talk about what those looks like. But it's between $10 and $10,000. So $10 gets you a social media shout out. $10,000 gets you an executive producer credit. We've got a lot of stuff in between, stuff like both tangible and intangible. So we've got a lot of credit associations. We have workshops with Johnath, acting workshop, a writing directing workshop with me, but those are separate. So 3 different workshops over Zoom for aspiring filmmakers that want to learn the craft. So especially good if you know nothing and you just want to break in, because it will be a crash course on sort of how to do the thing that you want to do. And it's cheaper than film school.
Yeah.
And then we have some really awesome tangibles as well. We've got t-shirts. We've got Kevin Ward has donated his services to create busts of Johnath's head paved in from Terrifier 2, signed by both of them. So we got a lot of cool stuff on there that you guys can check out. Again, it ranges. And even if you don't have $10, there's a button that says put in a number that you want. So just because you want to support us, you put in a buck, you can put in $5. There's lots of ways to get involved. If you're broke, just share the thing with your non-broke friend. You know, like,
there you go.
There's always ways to support one another and what we're doing. I don't know if you guys want to chime in on anything, but
I just want to say also, I mean, that's how you donate, you know what I mean? But the why is not just to help us, you know what I mean? Like we are mission based with this project. Like we said, we're connected with charity that's allowing, you know, young adults to come to the set and work on the set, you know what I mean? And we know that representation matters. So, you know, when you see something, then you know that you can do that. You know what I mean? So just, you know, seeing it on film, which is amazing. They're actually on set working too. You know what I mean? So they're seeing, you know, themselves in front of the camera, behind the camera, you know, having an amazing project that they can say that they were a part of. You know what I'm saying? So, and then who knows what that leads to now? You know what I mean? That trajectory of their life changes because that window was now open for them. So, you know, to be able to, you know, donate to this project, you're actually doing more than that. You know what I mean? You don't even realize who you're truly helping with that.
And moreover, we're families on these film sets. So with Big Picture Alliance bringing in these kids that we don't know, I hate to call them kids because they're young adults, but that we don't know, you become a family. So if we make this bigger version, who do you think I'm going to call to be a PA on the feature? More opportunities.
Oh, definitely.
And then again, moreover, for the why, something cool. It has nothing to do with your pledge. It's just something that we're doing. For the younger kids, we're also working with Big Picture Alliance for like meet and greets. They're going to transport them to set, but we'll do things where they can get FaceTime with Johnath and Courtney and me if they want to. Whoever they want to meet and whatever their interest is, they'll have an opportunity to just see people doing something that they may want to do one day. And that doesn't even require a pledge. That's just because we want to.
Yeah, I love that. I love the idea of getting young kids and young adults interested in the arts and, you know, not necessarily horror, but just getting them interested in doing something. And I mean, you guys are all friends. You came together because of your love for horror, but, you know, I love the idea of helping other people with this movie as well. That's really honorable.
Yeah.
Thank you. And again, it was easy yeses, but I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Montavius was like, hey, can we make this mission based? And the 3 of us, I don't even think we hesitated. We're like, yes, we can.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Yes, definitely make sure that you share the link. We will put it on our socials for Bloody Essentials. I'll personally share it on my own pages as well.
Same.
and I'm sure Nina and Jamie will as well. I don't want to talk for them, but I will definitely share it on my pages as well. So,
Yes,
Thank you so much.
we all will for sure.
Yeah.
I'll put it in the chat now, and I'd love at any
Yeah.
point if you guys want to put your socials so I can follow you. But
Sure.
Absolutely, yeah. I did want to ask, I know filming hasn't actually started, but do you guys have a tentative release date for when we might be able to expect to see whether it's the short or the full film?
yeah, I can speak to that. So our soft shoot dates are November 22, 23, and 24. It's soft because we juggle talent schedules, but
Sure.
the reason we're not shooting even sooner than that is because of Courtney Taylor being on that Amazon show as the lead. She does not wrap till early November, so it's like it's a happy problem to have.
Right.
But then 45 days, I run a tight ship on post, so we should be like finished VFX, score, sound design, all of that, edit. 45 days from wrap is my goal. And things can go wrong, and Murphy's Law. But in terms of the general public, you're going to have to probably come to a festival to see it first. However, there is like a tier where you can, it says get a digital copy of the film. So we may get some screeners out to fans earlier than a festival release.
Okay.
But yeah, and then the theatrical, that depends on how well we do. But, I'm hoping the next year. Not for it to be in theaters, but for it to get picked up.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, keep putting it out there. You guys already seem to be really picking up some steam and momentum. So I think that, just keep putting it out there, keep the positive attitude. I think it's going to happen for you guys.
Oh,
You're all very talented. So
yeah.
Thank you guys.
And that too goes again to what you were saying about the horror community, because I remember, just after just attending one, convention and meeting so many people and joining the Facebook groups and, just how warm and welcoming and, like I said, supportive, the people are. That makes a huge difference in trying to get this goal achieved. So I'm grateful, for the welcoming arms that they gave me.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do think that the horror community, when they rally hard and they love hard. And I think a lot of horror fans are very fed up with studio films and they want more indie horror films.
Yeah.
And they're tired of the crap that is being slung out to them. So they want to support more indie horror. So I think that, this is like people are going to want to support you guys, especially after seeing all the work you guys have done already. So
yeah. That's a definite.
Do you guys have any upcoming appearances where people can meet you, maybe talk more about this project with you guys in person?
Yes, Montavius and I will be in Knoxville, Tennessee this weekend, right? And then I'm going to be in Baton Rouge the 10th and 11th next weekend.
Okay.
Awesome.
And
I haven't gotten to that level yet of doing conventions. I go as a fan. I did sign my first autograph though back in March at Days of the Dead, so that was cool.
Speaking of that, I do need your autograph, Marcus, on my Terrifier mask, so I'll be mailing something to you. But I'll just mirror Johnath. I'm a fan of horror, so you guys know I travel pretty much everywhere for shows. So I'm no one famous, no one like that. So if anybody sees me, let's chop it up. We can definitely talk mirror for sure.
I am a new parent, which is there are tons of themes of parenthood throughout Mirror. It's literally about that. So I will not be seen at a lot of public appearances because I have a 3-month-old. However, I am virtually available a lot of places. We're doing a lot of press on this. I can't forget I don't remember if we have one tomorrow, but we have one the next day and the day after that. So if you want to tune in to Days of the Dead on Thursday and then Wednesday, I think it's Horror Junkie. You can check me out virtually there. I'm also, I like to say Oracle if you're a DC nerd, or the guy at the computer. I'm Ned from is it Spider-Man. I am constantly working on this, so you can reach me on Facebook. I'm very active in there talking to the fans.
Awesome.
So if you have questions, just join that private group. It's private in the sense that we don't want bots, so you just have to confirm you're not a computer,
right?
Or a troll. You get removed. Only 2 rules, I think, maybe 3, but it's like no negativity, and no politics.
Great rules.
Those are pretty much the rules here. So
we had somebody break it already. He got a mute for one day, and the second he got unmuted, he does it again. I'm like, you're out, bud.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations on becoming a dad. Your first?
It is my first, yes.
Congratulations. Can I ask, boy or girl?
It's a boy, yeah.
Oh,
I'm stoked about it. I would have been stoked either way, but
right.
I sort of manifested this because like my wife's like, "What do you think?" I'm like, "It's a boy, I know," and it was. It was a 50% chance. So
right,
halfway there. Sure.
Yeah.
Super
well,
close.
Congratulations. There's nothing better than being a father.
You're right. He's awesome. I got lucky. He's like a very happy baby. No colic. He cries when he's hungry. He needs to poop or he's tired. So I lucked out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Keep manifesting, guys.
He'll become a teenager. So I'll pray for you. So
thank you. Please do.
Yes.
No, I'm kidding. I love my kid. Joshua, you're great. So
he'll never listen to this. It's fine.
Right? He's like, I have to listen to my dad all the time. I'm not going to listen to him on the computer. So
right. Now, you're all horror fans. I do want to ask you guys, are there any horror movies that have come out this year or are about to come out that you guys are really excited about?
Oh, yeah. For me, this year, I would say I was a huge fan of Late Night with the Devil. I thought it was a phenomenal film.
Yep.
Just well shot, well acted. That actor, he's a chameleon of an actor anyway. I've been a fan of his for a long time. I thought Maxine was phenomenal. It was different than the other two. I felt like that whole trilogy went from horror to more thriller, but I love the journey for that character in all three films. So, and then Alien Romulus might be my most anticipated film this year.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Very excited for that one too.
What about you guys?
I'm gonna echo Alien Romulus, but ones that I recently saw. I tricked my wife into seeing Longlegs with me. She will not. We're Catholic, and so she will not do Supernatural because it's too real for her. It's real for me too. I just I think it's spooky and I love it.
Right.
But I tricked her. I was like, I think it's just a thriller. I think it's like Silence of the Lambs, and she was quite mad at me afterward. But the movie was great. She's like, it was good, but I did not like it.
Longlegs was great.
I gotta say, I hope I'm not saying this backwards. I think it's a violence in nature, or is it a
violent nature?
Yeah,
in a violent nature. Yeah,
in a violent nature. Yeah,
I loved it. The concept of following the killer the whole time, I loved it. A lot of people don't like a slow burn film, but I let it simmer, and that film was good. I'm excited for the second one. But two films that I'm excited for this year, obviously Terrifier 3, definitely, I gotta say that, and then Stream, which Mr. Marcus is a part of. Definitely excited for Stream and what those guys are doing over there. So for sure,
definitely.
Yeah, for me, because I'm kind of in it and I'm seeing my friends and I love supporting. My two is definitely going to be, Terrifier 3 and Stream.
Yeah, for sure.
We came up with, and I know they're going to, exceed expectations. So,
absolutely.
I have to echo that as well. I mean, I know you're not interviewing me, Nina, but Terrifier 3, of course, we've been talking about that, and Stream since Days of the Dead when we seen
the preview.
The preview.
Yeah.
I'm like counting the days down until. And it's got so many freaking good people in it. I mean, Felissa, Dave, Danielle.
So many people.
And Danielle's in it.
Danielle.
And then Danielle. Have I mentioned Danielle?
Calm down. Calm down.
I may be a little obsessed, so.
All good.
Yeah, no, we're excited. I waited to see the teaser preview or whatever for Terrifier 3, and it looks so good. It reminded me of the original, the first one, and it made me so excited. And I can't wait to see what he does next. So
yeah,
it's gonna be great.
Definitely.
Somebody's got a phone call.
Yeah, phone call.
That would be
I will
me.
say,
Sorry, it's my business. It's my business phone.
Shame
you're
on you.
good.
I will say a sleeper hit that I found that a lot of people didn't talk about it, but I thought it was an awesome film this year. Abigail. Abigail turned out to be
Yes.
I'm watching
Great
that
movie.
I'm watching that this weekend. I'm so stoked.
yeah.
I forget his name, but he was in The Strain. He played Fett. He's in it. He's the tall as hell.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
I just love that actor. I'm stoked for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. When
that
I went to
movie
see
surprised me.
Abigail, I texted Ethan right away. I was like, "This is the best vampire anything I've seen in the past 10 years, easily. Like, it's
Yeah.
incredible."
I will say sleeper hit that a lot of people missed. I believe Ready or Not. Let me just check if that's the right one. Because there's hide and seek too. I just want to make
Samantha
sure.
Weaving.
Nope, that's the one. That's the one. Ready or Not, I thought
Yeah.
was a perfect
Tomorrow Weaving.
horror / genre film.
Mhm.
So fun.
I have one final question, unless Ethan, do you have anything else?
Nope, I'm good. Go ahead.
I've been trying to ask everybody that is an indie filmmaker this question. So, where do you guys see the horror genre evolving over the next 10 to 20 years?
Are we talking film or convention?
Anything.
I think we had this conversation before about the convention wise.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think 10 to 20 years, because a lot of the people that people travel for now, unfortunately, 20 years from now may not be here. Like, your Robert Englund's, your Tom Atkins,
Right.
Capital, stuff like that. So we definitely got to have people emerge from the horror scene now that is going to pave that way, 20 years from now. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for it. And, we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of it, but I think that the future of film and horror may lean towards AI generated content.
Yeah.
I just say that because I feel like there's like a world in which it's evolving quite quickly, as we can see in our lives. That they're going to be able to tailor the movie to your fears, rather than whatever else. I don't know if you guys have seen. And then the second thing is more movies like this, because of the technology that is evolving with AI. There's Sora, there's DALL-E, video models, art models that could do this even better. But Bandersnatch, which was a Black Mirror one-off movie, which was like a choose your own experience, that's going to get easier to do with AI integration. So I don't like it because I like analog. I use digital cameras, obviously, but I like analog in the sense that I'm traditional in that I like the human element. I think AI should be used as a tool, not the art. So like, I'll use AI to grammar check an email. I'll use AI to help polish an email, but I will not use AI to write my script. So yeah, I don't know. It's just like one of those things. Like it's a great tool. Like if you're a writer and you have writer's block and you're like, help me figure out 10 different scenarios.
Right.
You're gonna write the scenario, but it'll give you an idea. I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a little afraid of the integration, but I think it's happening whether we like it or not.
For sure. Yeah.
As for me, I feel like within those next 2 decades, just the increase of options to watch horror will be more plentiful. You know what I mean? Like right now, studio, I don't feel like they spend a big grip on the horror genre,
Right?
Because you have so many more independent filmmakers who are more bold. Like before, that felt like such a risk to do, but now people just get a phone and go. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now they're getting better cameras, they're getting better light, and they're making these stories. And then there's more platforms to put these places. Before, if you didn't make a festival, where were you going to see this thing? But now you have all these independent film platforms like your Tubies and your this and your that. So I just feel like instead of waiting for the big horror film movie of the year, it's just going to be so much more options to choose from horror fans, rather than just what the guys saying that's on the menu.
Right.
And I just think that it's just going to make for a better playing field.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I feel like the state of film now, I mean, people are so fed up with studios, and filmmakers in general are fed up. Talent is fed up with the politics of studios. More and more independent filmmakers are going to be in the forefront now, I think. And I mean, the industry has gone through that shift like every couple of decades anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's always going to change and go back and forth. But I think more and more big name talents like the Mark Ruffalo's, the Willem Dafoe's, people like that are supportive of independent filmmaking now, that is going to take the leap and bounds over these studio films. And with horror being one of, if not the most bankable genre of film, because you can make them so cheaply and have a huge return on them, more and more independent filmmakers are going to take a gamble and have their visions brought to life, especially with the MPAA taking a gamble on like Terrifier 2, because I think Terrifier 2 was the first film in over a decade to be released unrated in the theater, something like that. And it was the goriest film in like over a decade or something like that.
Yep.
So for them to see the success of that, I think more and more people are going to take the risk to try to make those films, and it's going to be well received. So, yeah. But my only problem is, as a fan of film and loving the theater experience, I kind of feel it's a double-edged sword having all of those platforms made accessible at home now. Yes, it's great to be at your home theater and enjoy the film, but it's nothing like being in the theater, man, and kicking up your legs, and you got those Dolby speakers, and it's just a different feeling.
I couldn't agree more. It's a spiritual experience. Not as we said, I'm a Catholic. I know a few of you are Christian in this group. Doesn't matter. I don't care what you are, but film is. You go to that theater, I believe it is a spiritual experience. You're in a congregation of filmmakers, and you can feel the energy. Like you go to a Marvel film, laughs. That is studio. I don't want to denigrate the studio or not, but I'm just saying you feel the energy in that film. In that theater. And I think I would be really sad that if we do go on to make this a feature, that it had to go straight to streaming. I mean, it'd still be a win, but I would really love for this to play in the theater.
Right.
For sure. I think that you could get plenty of, whether it gets picked up by big brand theaters or not, you could easily get independent theaters to pick it up. Like Music Box here in Chicago does all kinds of indie films, whether it's horror or whatever. But I mean, like I said, just keep manifesting. It's going to happen because the horror community, it shows out and it shows up. Like
absolutely.
So
can I curse on here?
Absolutely.
I already did.
Yeah, no, don't worry about it.
Yeah. But yeah, just let us know anything we can do. We're going to be promoting you guys as much as we can because that's what we're here for.
Definitely.
And, anything we can continue to do, just let us know. We would love to keep promoting your guys' work as you guys, get more experience and do more things. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I really enjoyed talking to you guys, and I can't wait to see the movie. So.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Agree more, and please, I do want to connect with you all. So I don't know if there's a way for us all to get an email chain or something going so we can get plugged in.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But thank you so much for having us.
Oh yeah, no, thank you guys again. It's always a pleasure chatting with you guys. Always a pleasure seeing you. So looking forward to what other show you guys got coming up.
We're gonna be the one I think you're gonna be at. You're gonna be at Days in November, right?
Yes.
In Chicago. Yes, we will be there. Yep.
Sounds good. All right, I'll see you guys then for sure.
Awesome.
Definitely.
All right, guys. Until next time. Thank you guys so much for coming on. If you ever find yourself in a horror movie, just remember, don't have sex, don't do drugs,
and don't die. We'll see you next time.